Okay, let's go ahead and look at just adding and subtracting polynomials. Okay, so polynomials, like I said, it's just a fancy word for an expression that just has positive whole exponents on their variables. Okay, so when you're adding and subtracting, all you're doing, and I'm going to kind of maybe write it off to the side. Okay, we are combining like terms. Okay, hopefully we all remember what like terms are. Like terms, okay, same variable, same variables with same exponents. Okay, they have to have the same variables with the same exponents. So when you combine like terms, how do you actually do that? Well, you're going to add or subtract coefficients. Spelled that wrong. While the variable and exponents stay the same. Stay the same. Okay, so this is very messy. I'm sorry. I'm trying to write it big enough, making sure everybody can see it. So whenever we are adding and subtracting polynomials, all we're doing is combining like terms. So as a reminder, like terms have the same variable raised to the same exponent. How do you actually combine like terms? You add or subtract the coefficients while the variable and exponents stay the same. Okay, so with an example here, one thing that's pretty standard, we actually call it standard form, for polynomials is that the highest exponent goes first. So I will always make sure that my polynomials are in standard form, meaning the highest exponents are expressed first. And I believe Alex probably wants you to do it too. So make sure you're doing that. So I'm going to first go for the x squared. So I'm taking this polynomial and adding it to this polynomial. The parentheses mathematically aren't doing anything. Since this is all just addition and subtraction, there's no multiplying anything. We're just adding these two together. They're not doing anything. They're not holding it together for any reason. So all I have to do is really just pick out my my like terms. So if I have 2x squared and negative x squared, I have to add the coefficients. So I have a -1 plus 2 is a positive 1x squared, right? So you can write 1x squared, or you can just write it properly and say x squared, okay? All right, then I have an 11x and a -5x. So be careful, the minus signs before a term make it negative. So 11x minus 5x gives me a positive 6x. And then finally, I have 13 and -23, so I have a -10. And that's my answer. Now, you have to make sure, I know I have some students sometimes that'll just combine them and put the terms right underneath it. No, what you're doing is you're expressing a new expression. Expressions have terms that are strung together with plus signs and minus signs. So make sure you're actually writing an expression. Now for this subtraction example, these parentheses are saying, hey, I want to subtract this whole entire polynomial from this polynomial. So this whole polynomial must be subtracted. So when you have a subtraction out in front of a parentheses, you need to make sure that every single term inside of that parentheses is being subtracted. So when you have a subtraction, I highly recommend you rewriting it. I can drop the first parentheses without having to do anything because there's nothing out in front of it. There's no exponents to it. Nothing's holding it together. And then I'm going to distribute that negative sign. Okay. Now I'm going to combine like terms. So do take this time to either rewrite it or somehow show yourself that you're distributing that minus sign. So I have 4x squared and a -3x squared. That gives me a positive 1x squared, or just x squared. I have a positive 5x and a -7x, so that leaves me a -2x. And then I still have my -1. You got to bring that down, okay? That's part of your expression. You're just not combining him with anything, okay? All right, now that we have our examples, we're not going to work through all of this. We're just going to do, let's say, all the odd ones. okay? You can X out the even ones on this whole entire page. We are only going to work the odd ones. I'll leave a couple for you to do by yourself. Okay, I'm doing the odd problems. So I have x plus 5 plus 4x minus 7. So all these parentheses are showing you, hey, this is one polynomial, I'm adding it to this polynomial. Nothing's really holding it together. So we can honestly just pretend like they're not there. I'm just going to identify my like terms. I have a positive x and a positive 4x. So I have a positive 5x, okay? And then I have a positive 5 and a negative 7 makes a negative 2. And that's my answer, okay? I'm going to leave 15 for you guys to do, okay? Number 17, let's go ahead. I've just got a plus sign, so nothing's holding these parentheses together. I'm just going to identify my like terms. I have a negative p squared and a positive p squared. What's going to happen when you combine those? Well, negative 1 plus 1 equals 0. You have nothing left. Those go away, okay? All right, so let's get the positive 5p and negative 4p. I'm left with just 1p, okay? And then I've got 8 minus 15 leaves me a negative 7. So p minus 7. All right. Let's go for number 19. So 19, we have a subtraction. Remember, with subtraction, you have to make sure that this subtraction is subtracting each term from your other polynomial. So you want to make sure you distribute it. So maybe you just go ahead and put your negative signs, change this to a negative sign. Maybe you're good at keeping track of that kind of stuff. But if you're not, just take the extra 2 seconds that it takes to rewrite it. Okay, just rewrite it. So I've got a positive x squared and a negative 3x squared, leaves me with negative 2x squareds. And then I have a positive 17x and a negative 5x, leaves me a positive 12x. Okay, and I'm done. So I am going to leave number 21 for you guys to do. All right, so number 23, we will be subtracting. So I want to make sure that I distribute that. And so I have 7b minus b squared plus 14 minus 15 minus 8b minus b squared. All right. So now I'm going to combine my like terms. I have a negative b squared and a negative b squared. That leaves me with negative 2b squareds. Okay. Take note, I am adding or subtracting my coefficients while the variable and exponents stay the same. 7b and negative 8b, I have a negative 1b or just a negative b. Okay, and then positive 14 minus 15, I'm left with negative 1. All right, 23 and number 25, I'll leave for you guys. We gotta find the sum of these. What does the sum mean? Add them together, okay? All right, that's our quick little review on adding and subtracting. Hopefully Grace didn't find that too difficult and that we've done these before. We'll do some multiplying next.